Alright, so momentarily you guys are going to be watching the video ZF8HP75 Revisited. So I had to film this video about 6 weeks apart. Part 1 was when I got the transmission back, tore it down to confirm it has the same problem. And then what I had to do was source out a part which had to come from Germany, which took about 6 weeks or so to get. And then I was able to film part 2. When the part showed up, I showed you the part. You'll see in the video, we put the transmission back together. So between the two, part 1 and part 2, there was a span of about maybe 6 weeks, maybe a little more. But the bottom line is the intros are kind of similar, so it may seem like I'm repeating, and really what it is I don't remember what I said when I filmed part 1. So I just wanted to apologize for that. Another thing I just wanted to touch on is I was talking about the numbers on the side of the transmissions, and I may have said that the 6 speeds begin with 1068, the 8 speeds begin with 1102. Well, that's not necessarily true. I believe on the 6 speeds, the generation 1s may begin with that, but bottom line is you would have to get the number off the transmission. I just did a ZF8HP75 generation 2, and that began with 1071. So the numbers do vary, possibly from generation to generation. Also on the 8 speeds, this was an 8HP75, that began with 1102. I recently worked on a ZF8HP45 out of a 3 Series BMW that began with 1090. So the numbers do vary. But that is the important number to order parts. If you have to maybe order a converter, if you have to order solenoids, that would be, they may ask for that number. So I just wanted to, I didn't want to seem like I was giving the wrong information out, so I just wanted to clarify that. All right, so we're going to move on to the video. And once again, I thank everybody for watching, and here is the video. Alright, so in this video we're going to revisit the ZF8HP75 that I overhauled out of the 2015 BMW X6 M Series. Alright, so if you remember, the reason why we got the job here is because it had a 3/4 flare and it had a slip in reverse. Alright, and when we tore the transmission down, I air checked all the clutch packs before we even pulled the transmission apart, and found really the D clutch was not air checking. The air was just blowing by. I air checked it in the case, I air checked the drum itself, and there was nothing there. So we're basically dealing with the same problem. All right, now when we took the D clutch apart, I had found the O-ring was torn. Okay, and it really didn't sit well with me the way how the O-ring was torn. So I started making some phone calls, to Ericsson's, and I was asking him about. It took me about a month to get the parts that I needed from Germany, meaning the separator plate, or ZF calls it the intermediate sheet, and the clutch pistons and the filter. And I was inquiring about the D-clutch assembly or the rear planetary drive. So basically I was told it was not available or wasn't set up for sale yet, something like that. And I really didn't, at that time, I thought I really didn't have much of a choice but to go back with new O-rings, and everything air checked okay, at the time. But I just had a gut feeling it just wasn't sitting well with me. But at the time, I thought I didn't have a choice. So I get a call, the transmission gets installed, it works good. I get a call from the shop that, again, is located in Chicago. And then I get a call probably a month later that it's doing the same thing. So he has some contacts with ZF as well, and he called them and let them know what's going on. And he was able, through the number on the transmission, the side number, which on the ZFs, this one begins with 1102, we were able to get a part number. But I still couldn't get where I wanted to get with ZF, because unless, I guess, an order is placed or something like that, I guess it's very hard to communicate with them in Germany. So what I did was I Googled the part number, actually found one in Russia, and then I found another German company in Germany, and I put the part number in, it came up with the right description, rear planetary drive. So on the Contact Us, I emailed them and asked them, here's the part number, are you able to supply me with the part? And they says, we can get it. You know, I guess once it's ordered, it would probably be a couple of weeks before it ships, but from what they're saying, because I was going back and forth to confirm this part number and everything, could I see a picture? They didn't have a picture, but they only go by part numbers, but the description was correct, so I'm assuming the part is correct, and it should come fully loaded with the piston, the clutches, the steels, pressure plate, the whole thing. So if we're dealing with the same problem, I'm not going to have much of a choice, you know, with the same problem, meaning the O-ring being torn. I'm not going to have much of a choice but to get that set up from Germany. I did speak to Ericsson's, and apparently it's a little bit of a process to get something from them, from Germany. They did send me a piston, a lid. They thought maybe there was something wrong with the piston. So I do have that, but if we're dealing with an O-ring, the same thing, then I'm just gonna call them back and ask them if they can help me. If not, then I'm just gonna go ahead and get that part from the German supplier. It's called Handler, and they are based in Germany. So that's what's going on. So we're gonna chunk this thing down, take it apart, and again, once the valve body's off, I'm just gonna put the test plate on it real quick, confirm that the D clutch will not air check, and then we're going to take it apart and see if we're dealing with the same problem. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little closer and we will start the teardown process once again. Okay, so I'm gonna start by taking off the O-ring here for lockup. Okay, and again, here is I saved the seal just so I can compare, you know, and you know, the way it looks, I was, you know, very nervous to put it back, but at the time, again, I didn't think I had a choice because I was told it was not available. Oh, wrong size. All right, so I'm going to take all the pump bolts out, and we're going to turn it around, get the rear seal out to get the snap ring out. Actually, you know, I'm going to leave 3 of these in here because I do have to air check. Let's leave a few of these in. Okay. All right, so we're going to take the rear seal out, and behind that will be a shim and a snap ring. to that in a minute. I'm going to take the fill and check plug out, turn this over. It should be drained pretty much. It's clean. Gasket. Be very careful with the gasket. Filter. Okay, move this aside. All right, now we have the his pump, which is the hydraulic impulse storage. I'm going to unplug that. Okay, take the pumps out. Okay. All right, also want to put this in the pan. Okay. Okay, now the valve body. The output speed sensor. I'm going to take all the torque 40 bolts out. I'll let the valve. Here's like a little transfer tube. So the D clutch, actually, I believe that's it. So let's see what we got just with a rubber tip and the air gun. Oh, you know what? My compressor is off. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, so I put the plate on while the compressor was filling, so it's not on. And we're just gonna air check. We're gonna start with the A. That's good. The B might splash a little bit. Okay, C, the E, and the D. See, there's nothing there again. All right, so we'll take this off. I'm going to take this apart, confirm what's going on here, and then I got to get on the phone and start making some calls. I know things happen, but I don't think I was actually given the right information from the start, because I would have changed that setup. Okay. All right, so let me reposition, and I'm going to take the bolts out. We're going to slide everything out. We're going to take the snap ring out of the back. Let me reposition, and I will be right back, and we'll just take the internals out here. Okay, so first we're going to take the snap ring out with the shim. All right, there we go. Turn this around. All right, let's get that T5050. Now, very carefully, we're going to take that pump out. A clutch in here. This is like the clutch hub and the P1 ring. And B. Now we're going to slide everything out. All right, now, let me just set up in here. And we'll take this apart. We'll open up the D drum. Everything looks good there. All the rings look good. But we have, let's see, we have the feed hole to the D. So let's check it out right at the clutch itself. Okay, all right, give me a few minutes. Let me get it set up in here. I want to put a couple blocks of wood and stuff, get the tools out, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so I'm going to take this apart. I have my drum protector on here, and the snap ring end is here, so you go 180 degrees. Under the snap ring. There we go. All right. Okay. P1, P2, sun here. Good, and again, I want to be very careful with this. Is the D clutch drum. You know what? Let's do this. I'm going to take the clutches out. If I'm going to get this whole setup, it should come loaded. Okay, all right, so let me just hit this apart, and then I'm going to come right back to the bench. All right, just give me 2 seconds here, and I'll be right back. Okay, I did not take it apart or anything yet. I just turned the piston to pop it up, because there is no snap ring on this, so let's take a look. Okay, so there's an O-ring here, which is good, but that's not the problem. Okay, I'm looking at the O-ring here. Same scenario. All right, so there's something wrong. There is something wrong with this drum. You know, it feels nice and smooth, but it's almost like the piston is coming up too high. And I don't think the piston is the problem. I do have another piston, but I think what we're going to do is see about getting another drum set up here. Okay, I don't even want to take a chance and, I think really the only way to go here is to get another setup. Okay. So I'm going to email the company actually right now, because I have to, in order to hear from them, I have to email. I think it's 6:30 here now. It's probably 3 in the morning over there, so, or something like that. So I'm gonna email them now, so they'll get it when they come in tomorrow. And because I emailed them once, like at 5 in the morning, I got an answer within about 15 minutes. And then I just want to confirm and see what the shipping date would be once it's ordered. All right, so that is all for now. So we confirm same problem. And I think that this drum, there's something wrong here. There is something, it even feels smooth, but it must be some kind of machining or something like that. Okay, so we confirm this, and now I'll give you an update once I know when the part's going to be shipped and I can get it and stuff like that. So stay tuned and I'll be back. Okay, so it's probably been about maybe 5 weeks or so since I did the teardown of this ZF8HP75 that came back with the no reverse condition. And when we looked at the D clutch drum, because that is what's on in reverse, as well as I think there may have been an issue like a 3/4 flare, we found the O-ring again. The O-ring basically didn't roll, it got torn up, it got shredded. And that's pretty much what it came in doing. Now, when I first did this job and I saw that, it didn't sit well with me at all. And I actually inquired about getting a new part, which was this. They call it, ZF calls it a rear planetary drive, and the D clutch is in here. And I did some research. I called my ZF people that I always speak to, and they say, oh, that's not available. That is, you can't get it. Okay, I took their word for it, and I had called the client back and explained to him that I don't think I can get this piece. We're gonna just have to give it a shot and see what happens, with new seals. So, but everybody was on the same page with the fact that I really wasn't comfortable with doing that, but the fact that I was told I couldn't get it, I didn't think I had a choice. Okay, so now I get the call back that, hey, we got the problem again, so I had a feeling we were gonna find the same problem, which we did. So now we have to do something about it. I have to change that part regardless. So what I do is I call ZF. ZF actually has a hotline you can call. I called, you can ask questions about 6 speeds, about 8 speeds. It's guys on there are pretty good. And I had said that, I need someone to call me because I have to get this part because it's a problem. I said, there's something happened through the course of when it was in the car. Either it wasn't machined right or something. It lasted about 50,000 miles and the O-ring got torn. It didn't roll or anything like that. The O-ring was torn, it was ripped. So eventually I get a call from somebody at ZF and I tell them what's going on. And what I do to find out, what I actually did, or what he asked me for the number on the case of the transmission, because he was going to try to produce a part number for me to see if I can get something going that way. These guys that work for ZF, I says, well, could you get the part for me? And he says, well, it really doesn't work that way. An order has to be placed through ZF in Germany, and no one can answer anything until an order's been placed. But I guess they couldn't do that. So I give them the number on the side of the transmission on the 8 speeds. It begins with the 1102. I got the case right here. Okay, so the number, let me just move this down a little bit. Okay, the number is stamped into the case. So the 8 speeds begin with the 1102. The 6 speeds, I think, begin with the 1068. And then you got to give them the rest of the numbers. So this is like, so it's 1102, and it's like 000, maybe like 8604, something like that. But you know, it begins with the 1102, all the 8 speeds do, all the 6 speeds 1068, and then it would be like 00030, something like that. That kind of identifies the transmission. So I gave them the number, and then I actually heard from him maybe about 2 days later with a part number for that rear planetary drive, as ZF calls it, with the D clutch housing / rear planetary drive. So what I did was I put the part number into Google, and I Googled it, and I came up with actually a parts house in Russia that had one. And then I did it again, and I came across this company in Germany called, I got their box here with the part in it, called Handler Parts. Handler Parts of Germany. Yeah, wait a minute, one of my boxes is going to fall. Oh, there it goes. Okay. All right, let me get rid of this case now. So I put the part, I go to their site, I put the part in, it comes up with rear planetary drive, it comes up with the price in euros, and then I find the contact button, and I get the email address, and I email them. The people, I'll tell you, they were great. Very helpful. They answered every email that I sent, and I gave them the part number, and I said, can you get this? And they emailed back, and they said, yes, we can. Well, first of all, when I was talking to ZF, the guy at ZF, and they produced the part number for me, I guess he looked into it in Germany, and then he called me back with the part number, and he says his exact words were, there's plenty of stock in Germany. Okay, so now I need somebody to help me to get it. So I Googled the part number. I found these guys in Germany called Handler Parts. This is their box. And I had asked them, you know, emailed them. And again, every email I sent, I got a reply. It was, these guys are fantastic. And he says, I can get it, no problem. You know, of course it took, just like when I originally did the transmission and I changed the pistons and the filter and the separator plate, you know, it probably took 5 or 6 weeks to get those. Give me 1 second. Okay, that was just the manager, had to get in touch with one of the wholesale accounts, had to give him the phone number. So these guys were fantastic. I paid, you know, they had the form to fill out, paid by credit card, had to call my bank, of course, just to let them know what I was doing so the charge would go through. He actually emailed me back and said that it went through. And then, you know, probably about 5 weeks later, I was checking the status, and then once they received the part, I'll tell you, within a matter of 4 days, FedEx had delivered it. So this is the company. They are in Germany, and I told them they will be hearing from me again in the future, because I'm actually, with these 8HP75s, you know, the overhaul kit of like an 8HP70 is the same, but the pistons are different, the filter is different, the clutches are the same. You can do like a banner kit, you know, but the pistons are not. You can't use the pistons. You got to get. And I called Trans-Tech or Freudenberg, and okay, and I spoke to the guy over there and told them. Okay, so let's get this part out. All right, and again, here is the company. So this is how I received it. And it says planetary drive. Let me take this off. Let me take this out. And I get it loaded. It's all ready to go. The only thing I have to do, which I had taken off already, and I got to put them on, the 2 rings here, I got to put on. But I tried it in the ring gear already. Everything fits. It comes loaded. Got the clutches, the piston. I don't have to do anything. Just put the 2 rings on and install it into the transmission. So here is the old one. Actually, let me get a little closer here. Now, let me get a little closer on the bench and I can show you. And actually what we'll do is put the rings on. You have the rings here. Let me just get a little closer. Okay, so let's put these rings on the new setup here. I have my compressor off, but let me see if there's still air in the lines. I can air check it. You can see it's checking pretty solid. Okay. And of course, once it's in, we're going to air check it again. So I figured what we'll do tomorrow morning is we can just kind of sub-assemble everything, you know, into the big cylinder, and then I'm going to put the unit together. That's basically just dropping it in the B clutch, the pump, and then we can air check the unit again when I have it on the bench right before the valve body goes on. So I have the valve body and the his pump on the other bench. So this is it here. Let's see if I still got a little air in the line. That sounds good. Okay. All right, so I have the brand new part from Germany through Handler Parts, Germany. So I thought it was great that I was able to get the part number. ZF helped me get the part number by giving them the case number on the side of the transmission. Very important. That tells them a lot of things. And that's how they produce the part number. And I Googled it, and I found it, and thank God. Because I'm not really sure what I would have done if I wasn't able to get it. And I was already told, you can't get it, it's not available. But basically, this part is not set up for sale in the United States yet. That's why I guess I was having so many problems. But I managed to do it, and those guys were great, very helpful. And being the fact that I do a lot of these, I told them I will be contacting you in the future when I do need more parts. So this is it for now. And what we're going to do tomorrow morning, again, is just kind of go through the transmission. We'll put, you know, the C and the E clutch pack. We'll put that together. We'll load everything into the small cylinder here. And then we can put everything together and load it into the larger cylinder here. All right, I still have the input shaft, which I separated because I wanted to be very careful with this, you know, segmented magnetic ring here. So I separated it, and I wanted to keep it nice so nothing would happen instead of it kind of laying on it. So we'll put that together, you know, put that in there, and we'll just kind of sub-assemble everything into the cylinders and go from there. All right, so I will catch up with you guys in the morning. All right, back with you this morning. Again, we got our new rear planetary drive. All right, so I'm going to load up everything into the main cylinder here. So we have our C clutch and our E clutch we're going to put in. Okay, so in here I have a bearing all the way on the bottom. All right, now we're going to put the C clutch in place. Now this has some O-rings in here, So I'm going to grease these because the input shaft is going to seal on that. Okay, and then we have another bearing here, but first I want to get plenty of lube on those O-rings. And also I'm going to put some on the input shaft as well. This other bearing goes right on top of the C drum. Okay. Now the E-clutch. Also have a bearing here. There's rings on the input shaft that right here. So I want to make sure all that's okay. Alright, now we're going to put this ring gear in. So we're going to put one snap ring. Take our small cylinder and this will fit inside. Okay. And our planet. Then we have the snap ring to put on. Okay, all right, so we got everything in place. The planetary I just put in is the P3 planet. And now, I'm gonna put this snap ring in. So this snap ring has a lock here. And you know what, let me just switch angles and kind of give you a close-up shot of how it goes in. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so these two cutouts here. I'm going to go one here and one here, kind of locks the snap ring in. Alright, so alright, let me just get that a little more center. Okay. Just give that a tap down and that's it. Okay, so this is ready to go. And then when I take this snap ring out, of course, I put my protective ring on it and I go from back here. I kind of pry the snap ring up and then I get in this little hole they have here. with a small screwdriver and pry the snap ring up. All right, let me switch angles once again. Give me 1 second. Okay, so this is good. So we'll put this aside. Now I want to put this back together, the PT planet with the input shaft, because we're going to be putting everything together now. And again, you want to be very careful here. Okay. So, I've got my snap ring pliers. Okay. Here's the snap ring. Alright, so I gotta kind of hold this and put the snap ring on. I don't know how much you're gonna be able to see, but I gotta be very careful with this. Let me just hold it like this. And then I'll come over here. Snap ring is in. We have our brace. Should snap in place here. And it looks good. Okay, so that's good. Now very carefully, I'm going to kind of just move this over here. Okay. All right, now we're going to get set up. We're going to load everything into the main cylinder here. All right, so I'm going to actually prop this up on a couple blocks of wood and stuff like that. So just give me 2 minutes, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to put the complete brand new assembly with the rings on it that I transferred over. The rings are new. And I'm going to prop this up on some wood. So this way I'm actually holding the cylinder up because we got a snap ring to go in here as well. Okay, so now the next thing, let me just maybe back out a little bit, raise it up. And so we got the P3 planet, the C and the E clutch. In. have our ring gear. So we have a bearing race here and a bearing here. That goes right in. And now we're going to put in our input shaft and P2 planet. So what I want to do is rings on here. I want to make sure we got plenty of lubrication here. Okay, now we got the P1, P2 sun gear. Bearing race here. And the P1 planet. Now let's do this. We're going to put the snap on. Okay. I'm going to put the snap ring on, and then this actually is for the B2 clutches and the ring gear. Alright, so we have our protector on. All right, let me get a little close up and I'll show you how this snap ring goes on here. Okay, so in this we have 3 tabs. We have one here, and one here. Okay, so we have this little cutout in the snap ring, all right, which is going to go here. All right, so we're going to just kind of feed it in. Have my protector on again. All right, and then we just got to kind of hit this in place. There we go. Okay, so that snap ring is in. Another bearing race here, and there actually is another bearing race here. Alright, so this is going to go on. And then here's the A clutch hub. That'll go like that. Alright, so this is together. Now we're just going to load up the A clutch hub and the pump. And then I'll just install everything into the case, and then we can air check it. All right, let me just get set up 1 second. Okay, so we have the pump along with the A clutch. We got a bearing here. We're going to install the A clutch, and this is the B piston here. You got actually the return springs that sit on the outside. Okay, we got to first put the hub in. You got a race here, bearing here. Okay, now if you look at the the wave steel and the steels, you got a space here, and you got a space right here. So it's actually in a few spots, but as long as you line that up, it'll drop right in. Okay. And here is the B. Okay. So that's really about it for now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna load this stuff up in the case. This whole cylinder drops in as one, and then the clutches go around here, and then the pump goes in. And then what I'll do is I'll put the air test plate on it, check it, and then I can just finish it up. Valve body, his pump, filter, and pan. All right, so let me just do that, and I'll be back with you in a few minutes when we're ready to air check. All right, so let's give this an air check. All right, first the D clutch. I'm not using much air to air check this. That's good. That is the D. Here's the B, C clutch, A clutch, and the E. Okay, that sounds good. All right, so I'm just going to put the valve body on, the his pump, the filter, and the pan, and then pretty much get this thing ready to go. So just real quick, 2015 BMW X6 M Series. This is the 8HP75. So originally had a problem with the no reverse condition, and where is the O-ring? And this was the original O-ring. All right. Again, I wasn't comfortable seeing what I saw, but then I was told that the D clutch / rear planetary drive was not available. And then what happened is I got ZF involved. They gave me a part number. I Googled it, I found it at a parts, they got it for me. I mean, I don't know if they really had it, because it took them, when I ordered stuff from Ericsson's once, it took, you know, 5 weeks, 6 weeks to get it. And the same thing here, when I spoke to this, or going back and forth via emails with this company handler in Germany, I gave them the part number. I guess they did the research, they said they can get it, and it also took them about, you know, a good 5 weeks or so, but I got it. The part is correct, and it was actually, again, a pleasure dealing with them in Germany, because you know, every email I sent, they answered me. So that is about it for this. So this should be it. No more problems. Again, valve body I'm going to put in, filter, his pump, pan, and I'm going to get it ready to go on the pallet to ship out. All right, guys. I thank you for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you next one.